Okay, there's a YouTube link, right? Okay, we have started, I guess.
Akshay,
Yeah,
can you give? Okay, yes, you can go.
yeah, we have started. And okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our live session, the second live session for Design Thinking, a primer course. And we normally have this uh, at the end of 2 weeks and at the end of 4 weeks of the course itself, so that we can clarify any questions, any queries, any suggestions, any doubts that you might have. Of course, the discussion forum is always open to you. Anything at all, you can take that from there. You can ask those questions, and we'll be very happy to answer those for you. And this one is more a synchronous mode. That is, you can face us on the Zoom meeting here or on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube live. Or if you're watching this recording and if some question pops up in your head, you can again go back to the discussion forum and ask those questions. Um, First up, the announcement I wanted to make was that we have a dedicated live session only for the exams. So any exam related queries, format related queries regarding the final exam, we'll have it in that third live session. The date, I always forget when the date is. I think it's March 14th.
March
Uh, is that right?
14, 6 p.m.
Sorry, 14th, 6 p.m.
March
Right.
14, 6 p.m.
Yes, there it is. So March 14, 6 p.m. Is our live session that Shyam has put up here. That's exclusively to answer questions around the exam and the exam format, sample questions, best practices. We will even walk you through some sample cases and all that. That will help you prepare for your exam as well as you can. Okay, so yeah, over to you, Sham. That's what I wanted to start off with.
Thank you, sir, for the details regarding the upcoming live sessions. I'll start the question presentation. We have from the previous, which was not addressed. We'll take that up first, and then we'll proceed to the latest question posted by the learner. As usual, Dr. Balaram Mudrai is an active faculty at Institute of Business and Pune, the guest faculty Madras, and Prof at University Pan Americana, Mexico. I hope I have pronounced that right.
That's fine.
Book which we have, which we are referring to, and you will also have questions in your examinations. Karmic Design Thinking by Dr. Balaram Uday. It's on available on Amazon and Flipkart. Please do go through that book if you want to score better in that examination. We'll move on to the question answer session. And this question is from Dr. Kapilan. And we have been emphasizing on using empathy in the design thinking process itself. And Dr. Kapilan asks how to integrate this empathy throughout each phase of design thinking process, especially when working with diverse or underserved communities.
Okay, excellent question. So let me just quickly recap for your benefit. The four stages of design thinking are empathize, analyze, solve, and test. A quick hack to remember it is EAST, EAST, empathize, analyze, solve, and test. Okay, so the question is, how do I use empathy and user-centered insights in every one of those phases? Now, we strongly recommend, of course, you can do this. You can keep integrating it into any phase at all. When you're analyzing, be mindful of the user insights. When you're ideating or generating ideas, you can think of your user also, keep them in mind. For sure, that's a great idea. And anyway, in testing, you have to take it back to your customer, and in empathize, you're with your customer. However, I would say that's the way to do it. But I would say just focus on the user during the empathize phase. Be 100% with them no matter what who the customer is, your main focus, your intention is to absolutely see the world from your customer's point of view, your user's point of view. Whether it's a diverse community, whether it's an underserved community, you need to get not your point of view. You are not you, but you have to look at it from their point of view. You have to drop everything, be very, very curious, be absolutely open-minded about everything that they do. Okay, people express by actions, by what they do, by the context they're in, rather than through words. Words are the last thing that people actually say. So rather than listening to what they say, the words that they use, yes, it is important, but watch what they do. What actions do they perform? What is it, what body language did they use? What about the expressions? Note all of that down. That's the most important part in empathize. Be absolutely curious and be absolutely mindful about how they do it. Okay, so that's the only thought that should be there in empathize. When it comes to analyze, you have to not be compassionate. You have to be compassionate, yes, but not be focused on only the emotions. There is an understanding part and the feeling part. Both of these have to come together. Okay, so that's the focus here. Now, in this, there will be empathy, like what this the learner has said, but I would say apply your rational part of it also. Why is it that they're doing this? What is the rational reason for this? So if the focus was on empathy in the empathize phase, that is feelings and heart and emotions and all of that in the first part of first stage, in the second stage, it's your rational mind which is looking at it from saying, okay, why did they actually press that button, or why didn't they go to their medical practitioner when they're right there? What's happening? Why aren't they doing this? Be very curious and apply that. Okay, so apply your rational mind. So in my opinion, and maybe you can also have your own opinion, but in my opinion, empathy plays a lesser role in the analysis, because that's a sort of a different thing that we're doing here, with the different mindset required, a different skill set required for addressing and finding out what the problems are. Okay, then you need to switch focus from your user to somebody who's providing it. Okay, so suppose, for example, let's say this is a village environment, and you're providing a water filtration system. Okay, so you've already looked at it from their point of view, saying, oh, I don't know how to use it, it's too complicated. All that is now you've documented, and you reason out saying it looks complicated because they're not used to such a system, right? A machine like that which is doing ultrafiltration and ultraviolet filtration and pumping and all that, they probably are not used to. So make it in such a, you will start thinking about why aren't they doing it, because they're unfamiliar with it. Okay, that's what it is. Now apply your rational mind and figure out why is it doing that. Okay, and then see that why is it that we are not able to solve it there? Is there another stakeholder? So think about who's installing it and how are they installing it. Okay, that could be another point of view. So there's a user point of view, and there's another person who is maintaining that equipment, somebody who's selling that equipment, somebody who is helping others learn about this equipment. Okay, so those are all the other stakeholders that you will have to. So if you remain only user centric in all through, then there's a severe pitfall, because now you're absolutely neglecting the others involved in this value chain, right? You will have to look at the others point of view as well, which is the like I said, the maintenance person, the person who's selling it, the person who's helping out, the training person. All of those points of view also have to be taken into account in the second stage. Okay, then you can ideate saying, okay, now I'm going to have it um, look like a regular pump or a regular pipe that they're used to. My user is used to doing that. Okay, so now you're thinking about the user, but you're thinking about what is feasible also, because you have to need to make a prototype in the testing phase also. So you generate all these ideas, and then you can come up, you can look at it as if anybody, even a child, should be able to use it. Even a grown-up should be able to. A tall person should be able to use it. A short person should be able to use it. Now you're thinking of features, what can be there. Now, how do I make a prototype of it? So all of these will involve the user, yes, but the crystal clear focus is mainly during the empathize and in the last testing phase. Okay. In between, I would say it's optional. You don't have to tightly integrate the user point of view in every stage, because then you might miss out on the other aspects. Because if you're going to benefit the user only, what about the rest in the value chain? What about feasibility of the idea? You can't spend a lot of resources just to get one small thing done. You will have to think about the practicality, all that comes in, and that's not entirely user centric. Okay, so that's why we have the conflict model, we have the multi-why model, and we have the ideation module in the center. Okay, so this is one rational way. But great question. Thank you, Dr. Kapilan, for this.
Thank you, sir, for your answer to this question. There is one related question regarding this from Raghavan M. I
Okay.
have posted it in the chat also here. He has sent me a direct message. I'll read it out. Sometimes emphasizing customer feedback too much can detract from the original purpose of the
Yeah.
product to over influence by customer demands. How can this be balanced?
Okay, great question. Again, the same. See, one easy way from a system point of view to resolve that is treat them as two customer journeys. Okay, so one could be an X where it's a let's say a senior citizen who is grappling with this problem, and now you're finding out that the a lot of focus on the senior citizen has taken my focus away from another customer. Okay, so I'm not able to focus on that person. So I would say, to resolve that, have two parallel tracks, two customer journeys, and pick those problems out. Now, the and you will notice this and analyze is that it could be a conflict. How do I satisfy the senior citizen who is not well versed? Let's say I'm a gross assumption. There are senior citizens who are excellent with technology. It's no disrespect to them, but let's assume the most common assumption is they're not well versed with technology, let's say. Okay, but there is the other user who is well versed with the technology, but they have a problem with something else, which is let's say holding of that product, right? Whereas the senior citizen probably finds it very easy to hold, right? So now how do I resolve this is a very, very interesting problem to solve for you. So this actually gives you a great opportunity to work on a problem that has never been solved before. Nobody has solved this contradiction before, the conflict before. And you'll probably be the first person to even look at the problem from this point of view. So rather than treating this as an inconvenience, saying I'm just focused on this person alone and I'm not getting any time on the others, I would say resolve it into two different streams and see where it goes. Let's see where that goes. Design thinking is all about exploration. Okay, so which also brings me to the caution that you should have time and resources dedicated for this design thinking project. It should be worth its while for you. Not every project on planet Earth you can apply design thinking to, because sometimes it takes a lot of time, back and forth, iterations and all that. So I wouldn't recommend it for every project. So it has you the design thinker need to ask that question in the first place, saying, will it be worth my time in solving this for my user and making them a better product or a service. So you need to think about that, because if you're going to dedicate your time to two different distinct personas, it's double the time on that same project rather than the one single-minded focus that you had earlier. So think about that. Think about that decision first, whether it's worth your time, and then consider having two pathways, and then trying to resolve those contradictions between those two types of customers, and that will give you a much, much better product, in my opinion.
All right. Thank you, sir. I hope Raghavan's question has been answered. We have a very interesting question from Ushiwalia, and we'll be taking it up later. We have a few more questions in the slides.
Okay.
The next question is from Shashwat, and the question is, how can innovative technologies and community-led initiatives be integrated to provide sustainable clean water and sanitation solution in resource constraints? Probably more interested in sustainable development goals set by UN, and he wants to kind of know if DT can anyway play a role in the question.
Okay. Okay. So, Shashwat, great question. But I will warn you that this is a very, very product-centered sort of question. So, I can see that there is no human being in this question at all. So, one of the things I would straight away straight off the bat tell you is that think about uh, who are we targeting? And I want a one person answer, right? So, when you say community-led initiative, it's telling me who is doing the job. Innovative technologies, what are you going to work on? Okay, and how are you going to do it? Is sustainable clean water sanitation. And what are the constraining factors? You said resource constraints. Great. However, think about that person who is going to be benefited. Now, come up with one person answer. Don't just tell me the entire community is going to benefit out of it. So, when you design for everyone, you design for no one. Okay, keep that in mind. So you need to find that one person whom you're going to benefit. Start there. I'm not saying you have to limit your thinking to only that one person. Start there. Make baby steps. How can that one person who will probably be benefited most about from your efforts, you need to focus on that person. Take your baby steps. Find out what is it that they're going through. Analyze the problem from a water standpoint. What is not being met today? Let's say an infant. Okay, infant needs the cleanest water supply, right? So start there. Maybe that's where you can make a difference to that infant. It's a matter of life and death. If the infant doesn't get good, clean, sanitized water, that's a serious issue for the infant. So start there, make an impact, and then you can move your way, work your way to, I don't know, mothers. You can make your way to rest of the folks in the community one by one. Community, persona by persona, you can make that difference. And then all your innovative technologies will be at the service of these people. And then your project starts gaining traction. I would say that is a very, very good way to start thinking about what you've suggested. Great project. You should do it. Take it up and do it. But the how is this. The how is going to be to think about one person who will benefit maximum from your initiative. And then work your way to the next person and then the next person. Okay. By person, I mean a group of people, persona. Okay. A persona. Like I said, infants, let's say 6 months old, born in a certain community. Okay. And then start your way, work your way from there. The best way to go forward. Then when you start seeing the solutions work, your confidence in the solution is also good. You see lots of adoption, you see lots of problems, and you fix them. You can work your way like that. Okay, so that's the way to, I would say, you can start working on it. One last point before I close this answer is resource constraints are not a bad thing. It's a great thing because it will give you innovative solutions. Okay, when you have lots of resources, people don't think of innovative solutions. That's been my experience. Whenever I am pushed to the wall saying this is not available or that is not available, is when my brain starts thinking about innovation and inventive solutions. Okay, so it's a great opportunity if we have resource constraint settings. Okay, it's not a bad thing, it's a great opportunity. So think of it from that point of view, and you will do very well in the great ambitious project that you have taken up.
Thank you, sir, for that insightful answer. We'll now move on to the next question. This is a three-part question from Vibhor Kapoor. The first question is we have identified 5 whys and analyzed the root cause. Can we not jump to solutions if that is coming obvious? Or still, what is the incremental value of conflict model? The ENV model is the learner is referring to.
Okay.
And the next question is, once the root cause is identified, whether it is important to go back and check with customers, or should we proceed to the solve phase?
Okay, great. I like the question because this is one question I had when I wanted to introduce the conflict model after multi-whys. is it worth all that effort trying to figure out the contradiction or the conflict at the heart of the problem? Okay. So the answer every time I got was yes, it is important. Okay. It is important to identify the conflict. Now, it's difficult to do. The model itself is very difficult to learn, and the application of it is not straightforward. In spite of that, why do I recommend that you do this? Okay. I can give you a simple answer is if the root cause is so easy to solve, you can solve it. No problem. You don't have to wait for a conflict to be to come from that to answer that. Great, solve it. But you realize that no solution is perfect. When you introduced a solution, you're introducing many other unknown problems. Okay, here is where the conflict model really helps you. So you can think of it like that. In case you can't, the solution is obvious to you. When you find the root cause, I can easily solve that. Great, good for you. But now look at it. So let's say I have thought of the root cause and looks like the root cause is there is no power at all. Okay. Now you say, oh, I'm going to introduce a battery because there's no power. I'm going to introduce a battery. Great solution. And you identified the root cause, you got the solution. But adding a battery means that now you need a charging circuit. Okay, that was not there in the previous situation. Now you have added a charging circuit. Okay, now charging circuit means it has to break off when it is reached full charge. That means you need a break off. I mean, lack of. I'm making it very generic. Okay, there's a stop point, right? Like a cell phone needs a stop point. You also have that stop point. So these two systems suddenly were introduced. Okay, now by introducing those other systems along with the battery, I've introduced maintenance headaches. Without the solution, there was no maintenance headache. I was just happy. Okay, without maintenance headaches, I have a charging circuit, I have a break-off circuit. Now I have to make sure that the battery is serviced. All those things start coming in. So each of those is actually a contradiction. By introducing a battery, I have introduced one problem. By taking out the battery, I remove that problem. That's a contradiction. So there can be other problems also. I'm saying that so no solution is perfect, and we are trying to use this conflict model to figure out what are the exact problems to be solved. Why is it not solved today? You can even go into that depth and you will find a conflict coming up. And keeping that in mind, now your root causes, all that understanding and the conflict model understanding is so that you can have a very robust solution. Okay, a very robust solution has very low maintenance issues, very low number of components. Okay, and it solves the customer problem, which brings me to your question 2, right? So it is not enough if you think your solution is great. It has to work, and customers may or may not agree with you. This is not about getting consensus. It is about making sure that their life, because of your solution, is better than what it used to be before. By introducing a solution, if you have introduced 5 other problems and they find it just so difficult, their life has become so much more difficult, then your solution is not good. And now you can come back and say, okay, what have I introduced? Okay, why did that happen? Why did they not put their battery into their living hall like I thought they would? What's happening? Why didn't they switch on? Why do they keep forgetting to charge their batteries? It's obvious to you, but not obvious to the customer because they're not used to it, right? Oh, they'll get used to it in a day or two. No, not really. This is a new way of life you introduced. Okay, these are all solutions that can lead to further problems. And that's what keeps your design thinker's life very interesting, because never ever is it a done deal. No solution is perfect. So you're going to have to think about how to solve that. Keep on going, keep refining, make their life better than what it used to be. You get completely into it and you're thinking very simple solutions which work for your customer, make their life better. Okay, so yes, you need to check with customers, but you do that yourself. Don't ask them, oh, is it working for you? They may or may not tell you the truth. Okay, if they're truthful, they'll tell you, oh, this is hopeless, or they say, oh, great, just to satisfy you. You need to figure out whether that really works. Just like how we would empathize. When people say their life is really good, No problems. Don't take it verbatim. Go and observe them in their where they are, and find out whether what they're saying is absolutely true. Because this people are used to their lives. For them, they don't see any problem in their life. It's you, the design thinker, who has to figure this out, saying whether it's working out for them or not. Same way with solutions and going back into testing. You're doing the same thing. Don't assume that your solution will work. It'll gain traction immediately. No, there'll be a lot of resistance from customers. They don't want to change their life. You will have to convince them also sometimes that no, it is going to make a positive difference in your life because X, Y, and Z have actually benefited from it. That's why we have these testimonials, right? Because it worked for X, Y, and Z who are similar to me. So I'm going to try this for me if it works or not. Okay, so yes, the answer is yes. You need to check with customers.
The learner is here. I think Vibhor Kapoor is in this
Oh,
meeting.
great. Okay. So please let us know if this satisfies what you were thinking. If not, you can always say, no, I had this in mind when I asked this question.
No, absolutely, sir. You have clarified the doubt.
Okay.
I was having this just dilemma, and I wanted to clarify with you because, with doing this five whys, actually, increase your your impulse is there that you have identified a root cause, and you were right that we try to tend to jump
Right.
in our day-to-day setting. We tend to jump into designing a solution without going back and checking at times, and then you are right. We introduce more complexity to in the life of the customer, and you are also very right by stating that that the customer might appreciate us for
Hmm.
the solution that we have brought, but they do
Yes.
not actually use, which we have also realized in our the products that we create. We have realized that we are very happy back at in the boardrooms, but when we go back and see that they are not using it, so while they have appreciation on our face, so it's a very great perspective in which you have explained, sir. uh,
Thank you so much. Thank
thank
you.
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for being there in our call and for a great question. And I'm glad this was helpful for you.
Thank you, sir.
In fact, Vibhor has asked another question also.
Okay. Yeah.
This is about the Vibhor, would you want to elaborate this question yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my question was, sorry, I missed on your earlier live session, and this is related to your first week, or rather,
Sure.
I
No
would say the
worries.
first
Yeah.
week. Yeah. So where
Sorry, I'm not able to hear you.
uh,
Yeah, now I can hear you. Yes.
yeah, sorry. Yeah. So my question is that, sir, we plot the empathy mapping we have done. I've seen that
Okay, I think Vibhor is facing some network issues. I will read this question. He wants to
so,
know.
so sorry. Sorry
Oh,
for the interruption.
he's back.
Go
He's
ahead,
back.
please.
Yes.
Yeah. So, sir, in the empathy maps that you have helped the team to create, plot, I didn't find the usage of that. That this empathy map has been created. But what happened, when we have reached to a solution? Did we try to plot again and see that whether those all sad faces get converted into happy faces by implementing a solution? Is there a role of this empathy map in the entire cycle of design thinking? That is what just I wanted to clarify.
Great question. Thank you so much for that. Yes, uh, I can answer it from two perspectives. One is, why are we capturing this sad face, happy face at all in the first place, right? So sad faces, you understand, where the customer is unhappy, you want to make them happy. You don't want a customer to be unhappy. That's the whole point of doing your design thinking. So agreed. And also that feelings are as important as your understanding. So the two things that we introduced, the idea of emojis itself, and it's easy to add emojis to where you see that the customer is clearly not happy. I don't want to fill out 20 forms and 35 fields before I can get one little service, right? So that's a sad face for me. um, Feelings are as important. Even though the customer may not tell you, they may not express it, but you realize that filling out 35 fields, text fields, before getting a service is definitely a situation where they're going to be angry or sad. So that's why, hence the emoji. Now, if they're happy, why do we have to keep track of them, right? So that could be one possible question. I keep getting that as well. Again, it relates to our previous question also, that the reason we keep track of happy faces is that our solution should not lead to their happy faces turning into sad faces. Okay, so it's ironic sometimes that they were perfectly happy with a part of the solution that you were offering early on. One quick example I have, sort of frivolous example, is that I was very happy with Windows 10 keeping the start, the Windows icon on the left hand side. But in the Windows 11, I know it's customizable, they switched it to the center part, which made me very unhappy. I really liked it that it was on the left, it was not interfering with any of my stuff. So it was on the left, doing minding its own business. When they moved it, I was very, very unhappy. It led me, I mean, if you think about it, it's very trivial. But however, it was something that I was so used to that I suddenly find everything is gone and things are like this. So it's an unhappy situation. So you need to think about where all are they really happy already, and your solution definitely should not turn their happy faces into sad faces. So that's one reason we track both of these. Now you're absolutely right. What do we do with this? So in I don't think I have added that content to our NPTEL course, but in my live workshops I do have an extra step in the last stage in the testing phase of a modified customer journey map. Now, what does modified customer journey map really mean? Is when I introduce my solution, what kind of a change am I introducing to my customer's life, and where am I introducing this? Okay, am I introducing it before they start using the product? Am I introducing it some changes during the usage of the product, or after or after the usage of the product? Where am I affecting their current way of doing things? If it affects a whole lot and your customer journey map is very, very different from what we started out with, then you are in trouble, because the customer is not going to accept something that changes their life drastically. I don't want to do 100 different steps that I have not used to. So if you show me that it's an online method which will make my life so one quick one, maybe it's related to the AI thing. I mean, chat GPT, right? The chat thing we're so used to, that the user interface we're so accustomed to, that we didn't have any trouble adopting to the chat interface in the GPTs, right? So it became such a natural thing for us to do because we're so used to that. Our customer journey was fixed. How we chat to a certain person was, we were very comfortable with that UI and with the way we do it. So hence, when the generative AI came in place, ChatGPT adopting to it was not that big a deal for the customer. There are not a lot of sad faces showing up, right? Now, when sad faces started showing up when it started giving us some hallucinated results, but that's another story, right? So same way, we don't want to affect the customer's journey or to deviate a lot from the customer's previous journey, and that's why I introduced a modified customer journey map in the testing phase. Unfortunately, that's not there in NPTEL. So it's a valid question to ask. And am I expecting all sad faces to become happy faces? Perhaps not. That's being too idealistic. Fortunately or unfortunately, all of my students, when I introduce the idea of modified customer journey map, they think that's the goal, to turn every sad face into a happy face. No, not really. Go do your reality check. You will realize there are some sad faces that are still sad. Your solution has not really solved it. And that's what you need to go and find in the testing phase as well. So, great question. Thank you so much for that. And as always, if it's not answered, please let us know, and I'll try my best to satisfy your curiosity.
So thank you so much for giving this perspective once again, on this piece. In fact, I also realized that this is the piece which is modified journey that you talked about, modified pieces. One thing that we are doing practically here also, in our process also, is that once we have mapped the empathy mapping in the customer journey, when we do this activity in our labs, and when we go back again to the customer for sort of validation, we come back and we modify at that stage also,
Got
that
it.
if just some synchronization can be done around those happy sad faces, whether our understanding is correct or not, because we have done this empathy mapping here. And this is really helping, and you're very right that not everything can be solved, and so what we are also trying to apply here, based on this learning that we have, I have done in your course, is that, pick up the ones where the sad faces are there, and actually, the customers are also highlighting while they are speaking, while they are narrating their problem when we are doing an interview. At that stage, they are also narrating that this is the problem statement. Sometimes they are saying that they are not relevant. Sometimes, they're saying, yes, it is very, very important. So those things we are capturing through observation. And we are working, and we are just trying to come back in lab and say that, hey, this was actually a red face. Customer is also narrating that. So let's pick up this. So prioritization is also we are trying to do with the help
Very
of this.
nice. If I may ask, where is it that you work, and what is the projects that you apply design thinking on? Just out of curiosity, if you're okay with it, it'll be great
Sure.
if you can share.
No, I'll be happy to share that. I'm working for ICICI Bank, working as a
Okay,
lead product manager,
okay.
and I happen to deal with the payments side of the product.
Wow,
So
okay.
we
That's a
create the
challenging situation. Okay.
so we create the products for business to business side of journeys. Essentially, the payments that are carried out by the merchants, for purchasing, procuring goods, etc. For them, we
Okay.
create the digital payment solutions.
Wow, okay. That sounds very challenging. Yes, this can be, and the fact that it deals with money and a lot of experimentation is probably not encouraged, but still you have to go out there and implement those solutions because you have a bigger picture in mind. Great, thank you so much. ICICI Bank, if I
Absolutely, yes.
heard it right. Okay, got it.
Yes.
Great, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vibhor. Now we have one question in the chat from Kushivalya, and it is, how can AI and emerging technologies, artificial intelligence and emerging technologies, be integrated into design thinking process without losing the human-centered approach?
Okay. You read the script ahead, I guess. Okay. And I know why Shyam, waited for us to answer this is, yes, there is a value to having generative AI, particularly generative AI, and such technologies integrate with the design thinking process. Design thinking process, as you probably have seen in the course, is close to how humans think, and we have given it a name, we have given it processes, stages, and all that. But that's how we human beings think, without any construct or anything. If you ask somebody to look at a situation, they'll probably go through this saying, how did you do this? You're trying to help somebody. This is what you will do, and that's how it is. But we see lots of challenges in respect to like what we were discussing before in the empathy stage. How do I really figure out? I know some of you are already so well versed with that. When I started out, it was very difficult for me to find. I mean, I was just taking whatever they were saying as the final word. Whatever the customer says, it has to be the final word. That was my thinking. But I
Good
realized.
evening, sir.
Good evening. There's a lot more to what the customer is saying that we need to actually keep in mind. Okay, so there are a lot of pitfalls to not having any help or support at all. Some experienced people are doing it very well, but people who are starting out or people who are not used to getting insights from other human beings found it a bit challenging. So here is where generative AI could really help, is to give you that practice of, and apparently some of my students tell me that there are you can create some personas, you can create, so and you can interact with those personas just to get acclimated. There's no replacing you actually interacting with an actual human being in flesh and blood and learning from them. But you can be well versed for people who are not used to that kind of thinking and doing activities like that. You can actually train yourself, or what I call train your empathy muscles, and then go onto the field, because now you are well equipped. I've done this a few times. I don't have to totter and learn everything on the field. I'm more a simulation can be arranged for. So here's where generating a generative AI can be really helpful. And the news is that we are thinking about a project, I'm sorry, a course which will be an enhanced version of the current course, which will have generative AI components in it, and but will be tightly integrated to the karmic design thinking cycles itself that you've seen in this course. So it will be sort of a, I don't want to call it add-on, but it will be a enhancement to this course. How do you integrate generative AI and make use of it so that you can design better products and services, interact with human beings, make other people's, and scale this up also. Not only in empathize, but in analyzing. Generative AI has access to millions, if not billions, of records at very, very quickly, which we probably will take a lot of time to understand. Generative AI can do it quickly, and we can get to the sources of truth. It can handle many things at the same time. We can use that. Of course, experts need to confirm that, and we talked about it also. Am I going on the right track? Somebody needs to confirm. And experts in analysis, we can tell you whether generative AI is making a mistake. Is it far away from the actual truth, or is it something that we are already thinking about, so it's on the right track? So that needs to be there. In solutioning, of course, we can use generative AI again to see if we can generate ideas or help us trigger some newer ideas, newer directions of thinking. Not saying take it verbatim, but use it as a junior colleague who can help you with enhancements to your own thinking, trigger you in some way that you generate some ideas that you probably wouldn't have without that aid, right? So that can be. And in prototyping, I'm told that, of course, I knew this by practice myself, which is in the field of app development and software. Generative is extremely helpful. Can we do that with hardware or services? Apparently, the answer is yes. People who have tried this have told me that it is possible to use that. Again, you are the big boss. You need to make sure that your colleague, which is generative AI, is helping you in the right direction or not. So, as the tagline in every generative AI platform says, AI can make mistakes, and it's for you to counter check the accuracy of that. So we can use that, and we are in the process of putting together a course, and we'll offer it right here on NPTEL. And working with some of my best students and teaching assistants to come up with a very good course that will be very beneficial for you given these developments. So it's the right question at the right time, and we are definitely working on that.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. We have a question from Chandra Kishore asking how cognitive process affects the design thinking. I'm not sure.
Sorry, Shyam, but there's one question before that. How can we apply design thinking tool to get competitive advantage in automobile sector while others? Is that answered already?
No, sir. From
Oh.
Arijita.
Okay. So the question is, how can we apply design thinking tool to get competitive advantage in automobile sector while others are also using this tool? Okay, very interesting. So I can't answer specifically saying how do I beat competition. That's not the idea in design thinking at all. Perhaps what you can do is to look at which are the customers from a design thinking, strictly from a design thinking perspective. You can look at what customers are they serving, and what needs, unmet needs, are something that they are not looking at. Okay. For example, I remember some telecom companies were very heavily focused on the urban customers, but one of them, I forget which one was the first one to do that, branched out and said, hey, looks like the rural community is still using featured phone with very low speeds. How can I go there and help them out? So this was about, it was the same product, same services. They didn't have to do a lot of changes from what they had used in the urban sector. But the challenges were very different in the rural sector. They had to start from scratch and think about all of those things that they went to a clean slate and they started working on that. So your thinking can also be like that, right? So I see a community which is overserved, and there is a community which is not even talked about. Nobody is even thinking about it. Perhaps you can be that sector to look at, okay, this set of people, everybody has looked at this, but nobody is looking at this. Maybe I can start here and see what is going on. Okay, this is one way to look at it. So I don't know if it'll give you a competitive edge or not. That's beyond the scope of design thinking per se, because we don't cover the business aspects here. However, in terms of the persona coverage, you can take another persona and work on it, which your competitor probably is not doing. So that way, if you look at it from a system perspective, you are covering a broad spectrum of people. Okay, so you're looking at they are looking at X, you're looking at Y. They are looking at Z, you're looking at A. So this could be a great idea to differentiate yourself. Okay, so that's one answer I have. Other could be another response to what you're saying is that if the two of us, okay, Mr. Arijit Das and me, we get together, we look at absolutely the same customer, okay, and interview them at two different times, come back and compare our notes. I'm sure there are two or three things that we have noted which are very, very different. Okay, your training, your upbringing, your mental makeup is very different from mine. All of those may be very different from mine. So what I observe and what you observe may be completely different things. So you might actually, in spite of the fact that we are in the same team, we have been working together. Let's say we've been working together in the same team. Still, we note different things. So one of the suggestions I have is uh, instead of having the same type of people in your design thinking team, try to have people from say a different educational setup. Okay, they may have education from a different place than yourself. They could be from a different societal setup. They could be brought up somewhere. Okay, or they could be from a different environment that they've been used to. So, or their expertise lies in, say, caring for the environment, for example. They are sustainability focused. You are technology focused. I am a society I look at society as a whole focus. The other person is obsessed saying it has to be cheap, it has to be affordable. So maybe bring that person also. Now we have four different perspectives in the exact same team. So you will come up, I'm sure, looking at the absolute same customer, you will come up with completely different perspectives, and then you can bring them, and that will be very, very different from if you say you're a technology person and you think about only technology. That's all the ideas you will keep coming up with. Okay, so by mixing and matching different types of people with their perspectives, you can actually add value to what you're doing. So design thinking per se is not a science, because science insists that no matter what you do, no matter who does it, no matter where it's done, the results should be the same. Design thinking, unfortunately, is not like that. It's part art and part science. The science part is that there are phases and there are stages, but the art part is what you observe and what I observe may be very, very different things from absolutely the same customer base. Hopefully that clears up your question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank
Nicely.
you. Thank you so much. Yes, Sham, you can move to the next question, please.
Yeah, one question from Chandra Kishore asks how cognitive processes affects the design thinking.
How cognitive process affects I guess the design thinking process. Well, design thinking is a process that will help you streamline your thinking. Okay, it's not to straitjacket you saying this is the only way to think or the only people you have to look at. It's you will do whatever you do to help other people, and in a way that makes sense to your customer, your user. Yes, if by cognitive process you mean biases, yes, they will be brought about. Your biases will come in. One of the key biases I will tell you is assuming that the other person knows what you know and doesn't know what you don't know. Okay, so we assume that everybody does that. This is a bias that everybody has, right? So a very, very easy way to sort of break that mold is to observe them and see what do they do, how do they do it, and be curious about how they do it. Okay, that could break a little bit. This is the most common bias everybody has. Oh, they must know how to switch on the internet. Oh, they must know how to install an app on your phone. Oh, they must have a phone. They must know how to charge it. They keep it charged all the time. So these are some things that I assume, and you probably assume that also, and you assume that about your customer also, right? That may or may not be true. So keep in mind that none of your users are probably similar to you or what you know. Okay, so go with a completely blank slate. Very difficult to do, but be curious like a child, and just watch them and see what they do. And if you don't understand why they did what they did, ask them and say, okay, try and explain to me what are you doing. That's when you need those words. Okay, they will tell you some rationale behind it. Note it down. It may or may not be true. We will analyze them later. Okay, so that's the mindset that one needs to have. If that's the cognitive process that you're asking about, that's one thing that you have to be really, really mindful about. Okay, the second cognitive process that happens in analyze is that what I think, and it's a usually we have a linear multi-way chain that may or may not be true about the problem. We need to identify as many root causes as you can. So that's another bias that you have is, okay, I'm going to find out the root cause in one direction and I'll be done with it. Unfortunately, no problem is so unidimensional. You have to think about multiple causes and you will find multiple causes. So that's another bias that we normally have. So keep in mind that there are multiple ways in which something can go wrong and you need to find them all out. So it can be a little more exhaustive. Okay. Try to bring in experts also to counter check your analysis. That will be a good practice so that your biases don't get in the way. Okay, your assumptions in the multi-way chain may come in the way, and your experts can say, no, that's not why it happens. This is the reason, different reason, and that you can ask your experts to confirm. In the solve phase, of course, there's something called group think. That is, the loudest and the tallest usually get their way. Okay, jokes aside, there's a what is a group think? Group think is basically one idea dominates what the group really thinks about. So much so that other people who thought that maybe this is a possibility of that second idea, they don't get voiced at all. So one way to sort of break that mold, that cognitive process, is to write your ideas first on a piece of paper and post it in such a way that everyone else can see it. Okay, that may bias, yes, but it's at least written. It's another part of your brain which is working on it. So this may help you break that mold of group thinking. Okay, group thinking can be quite dangerous because you may be led into the wrong direction of ideas. You'll spend a lot of time, resources, all of that in the wrong track, and only to realize very, very late that you have to backtrack and say, oh, that idea was, we spent a lot of time and resources, it just doesn't work. Let's come back and think fresh. Okay, and one quiet member in your team says, actually, I thought of it already, but you guys didn't. I thought you guys were too deep into it. I didn't say it at all. It's happened to me. That's why I'm telling you. So keep in mind that there could be other possibilities also. One way to break it is write the ideas down in the ideation. Prototyping, unfortunately, the cognitive process is that putting it on colorful charts does the job. It doesn't. Only when you start making it do you realize, oh, that can't be made. How am I? People talk about, oh, we'll include generative AI into this. How do you do that? I don't know. There's no AI expert in our team. So how are you going to get it done? Then you realize the idea that seems so simple in your solve suddenly becomes a monster. How the heck am I going to bring in AI into my process? I thought it was so easy. Then suddenly that idea becomes worthless, right? Because you thought AI will solve everything and nobody knows how to bring that in, or it's introduce a whole lot of complications, right? So those are things that need to be addressed very early. The good thing is, if you follow the process, it's easy to catch them. When you iterate it very continuously, you can actually catch them very early. So that's the good news.
Thank you, sir, for answering the question. I think Chandra Kishore is also here in this call.
Okay. Yeah, let us know if that answered your question or you had something else in mind. That will be useful for us.
Yeah, still in the call.
Okay.
Or else we can move to the next question from
Sure.
Gulshan. He's asking, how can design thinking be applied used as a tool to apply machine learning?
Okay. Yes, this is a great question. So in machine learning, as I understand, I'm no machine learning expert. As I understand it, there's a lot of data and a model is built out of that. But nobody knows what the exact model is. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Like I said, I'm not a machine learning expert. From what I understand, you need to feed the computer or the program data of what happened, use cases, things that worked out. And the computer forms a model based on all that you've fed and will tell you next time you apply this could be the potential answer. Based on whether it's right or wrong, it will learn that yes, this is the right way or it's the wrong way, and it will learn further. Okay. Now, design thinking is the where design thinking differs from this kind of approach is it's not a black box. We want to keep everything out in the open, and the human being who's going to use it has to be right in the center. If you're machine learning, like I said in the response to whether generative AI can be used, the same response to here also, wherever the gaps, for example, the multi-why and the conflict, very difficult for me to learn what is going on, but I have a bunch of data that has happened in the past from user behavior that I can feed it. I think it's called, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Shyam knows this better, is sentiment analysis that can be done using a machine, right? So because the data is so rich and very difficult to discern that you're not able to do it yourself, or your team has not been able to do this, perhaps a machine can help you with this. Machine learning can really help you with this. Why not use it? I mean, if it makes your life better, and you based on this learning can make a life of the user better, why not use it? Absolutely, we are open to that. So that's how I would use machine learning, is where it becomes very difficult for you to do things on your own in this design thinking cycle. Machine learning really helps you. Go ahead and do that, but don't miss the bigger picture that we are here to make life better for our user, for our customer. Okay, that's one key thing, because some of my students get so caught up in this whole machine learning and all of that that they lose focus of whom we are doing this for and what is it that we are doing this whole project for. Because it's sometimes for them it's very exciting to do it, it's rewarding for them, but you have to see that this is all at the service of the user or the customer who's using your product or service. Okay, be it machine learning, today it's machine learning, tomorrow it's generative AI, later it's AI agents, whatever be the technology, you have to look at it that there's a user or a customer who has to benefit from that. That would be my response to your question.
Gulshan is also in this call. Gulshan, let us know if your question has been answered. If you want to share any thoughts also, you're welcome to do so.
Okay. Shyam, there is a question in the YouTube chat. Yes, I will read it out for you if you would like. Oh, where did it go? It says, oh, this is about the exam fee details and exams, kind of exams you're planning. Okay. See, I don't know when this user asked us this question. Any exam related queries, any exam related, as in the format of the exam, the duration, how difficult is it going to be, what are the sample questions? Those are some of the often asked questions. We will cover that in the next live session, March 14th, for all of you who are taking the exams. So that's our response. That's my response to you and my assurance to you that we will definitely cover the exam related questions on March 14th at 6 p.m. India time. And you can certainly be part of that. If you have any registration related, I think today is the last day for registration, if I'm not wrong. If anything like that, please do contact NPTEL support. Shyam and I don't handle the fees or the registrations, personally. It's the support team which can immediately help you with that. We don't have the means nor the tools to help you out there. So if it's related to fees, registration, NPTEL support. If it's related to format of the exam, what to expect, what do I do to prepare? March 14th, 6 p.m. is when your answer is going to be given to you. We will give you the answers to you. Okay. I hope that answers the question.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes,
Sir,
please.
when exam date?
Okay, exam date is on March 20, oh boy, 29th, is it, Sham? No,
It's on the course page.
Yes.
It differs based on the session and time. Please do check the course that you have registered for, and the time, session, date will be given there. That is
Okay.
the official authentic confirmation where you can get the details from.
Okay, sir, I have a one mistake. I cannot submit assignment 1 or and 2. So,
See, the
Okay.
criteria for assignments are also given in the course description page itself. I recommend that you submit assignment 3 and 4. If your score crosses 40, greater than 40 out of 100 in the assignment score, I think you should be able to give the examination. We will have another session on March 14th. There we'll be clarifying it. But if the deadline is over for the assignments, we would be unable to help because the entire process is being handled by the NPTEL team, and they have strict deadlines set for all the courses, assignments, and examinations.
sir, I cannot apply for the certificate exam. So, I can now apply to certificate exam.
Next time, yeah, if the same score will be considered, or you can redo those scores and take up the certification next time, in the next semester. This course is offered in all semesters, so you can apply and take up the certification exam after submitting all the assignments the next semester.
The
That is also an option.
last date apply to a certificate exam course.
It,
14th.
it says, Sham, it says February 14th is the last date. Is it till midnight or is it already over? I'm not very sure. I have just posted a link in the chat here. Just check if that works for you. I'll also paste this in the YouTube chat. So this is where you can take it from. Okay, so you can really see all the details. One is the assignment. If you go scroll all the way down, it tells you what the eligibility criteria is. Also, the website tells you the exam date. Thanks, Vikas and Sandhya, for also clarifying. March 23rd, 2025 is the exam date. Now, closer to the exam, you'll receive a hall ticket with the exact date, time, venue, all of that you will get. Again, that is all handled by the NPTEL team. They will clarify all the doubts with regard to 5 p.m. Oh, we just passed it. 3 minutes past that. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Vikas, for telling us that. It's we just crossed past the deadline. So 5 p.m. was the deadline. Okay, I hope that answers majority of the queries around that. I think we had one more question. We are already 4 minutes over time. I would say thank you for the question. We will take this up as the first question in our next session on March 14th, and we'll begin there. We'll answer that for sure. Yeah, please do make sure you also log into that live session. Thank you so much for being there with us all through and asking such great, insightful questions. I hope you can join us in on March 14th. Thanks, Sham, and thanks to the NPTEL team for organizing this. Thank you so much. And thank you all participants for your participation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Bye. See you in the next live session.
See you. Bye.